This news update is brought to you by...
So, I'm meeting Rico later. Gotta check in with the girls, but first, let me check my usage on the MindLime app. Now, what should I wear? Hashtag sexy. He's here.
It's Thursday, April the 23rd, 2015, and this is your Barbados Today morning news update. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Thanks for joining us. One of this country's veteran attorneys will today officially serve notice on the Chief Justice that he is about to sue him. Queen's Counsel Vernon Smith will dispatch a letter today to his boss, Sir Marston Gibson, informing the Chief Justice of his intention to start legal proceedings in the High Court. The intended action, considered unprecedented in Barbadian legal and judicial history, is seeking damages against the head of the judiciary for refusing to give Smith a hearing without due process in the case where he is representing Brantley Consulting, Inc., a company owned by former CLICO chairman Leroy Parris. Smith tells Barbados Today that Sir Marston has effectively disbarred him without due process by preventing him from representing a client in a case that came before the court last week. The senior counsel explained that the Chief Justice refused to allow him to represent his client on the strength of the word of former president of the Barbados Bar Association, Barry Gale QC, who told the court that Smith had not paid his annual bar subscription. Smith is contending that he has never refused to pay his subscription since he started practicing law in 1975. He said what he had refused to pay was value-added tax, or VAT, which he argued the bar had no authority to impose since it was a trade union and not a business. Now, meanwhile, Smith has drawn attention to another piece of information which he believes strengthens his resolve not to pay VAT on his subscription. He cited the minutes of the 2008 annual general meeting of the Barbados Bar Association, where a resolution was passed agreeing that the VAT issue would no longer be pursued.
They had meetings about the issue, and a resolution was passed that the issue should no longer be pursued by the Bar Association. And one of the reasons why that decision was made, because it was too expensive for them to go to court. So they have now come behind the scenes to get Gibson to do what only a court can do.
Meanwhile, the Chief Justice has reserved his decision in the case where former CLICO chairman Leroy Parris and his company Brantley Consulting, Inc. want the High Court to unfreeze his assets. On January 27th, Justice William Chandler made an order to freeze the assets amounting to about $4.5 million in an ex parte case brought against Parris and his company by the CLICO judicial manager, Deloitte Consulting Limited. The claim also names the late Prime Minister David Thompson, who is represented by his widow Mara Thompson, as a third defendant. In other news now, noted political scientist Dr. Tennyson Joseph has labeled Prime Minister Stuart's recent attack of University of the West Indies Vice-Chancellor Professor Sir Hilary Beckles as political immaturity and suggested there may also be an element of what he called professional envy. Dr. Joseph, who heads the Department of Government, Sociology and Social Work, told Barbados Today the Prime Minister's comments were reminiscent of the 1970s when the role of the university was not understood and the institution was heavily criticized by leaders and civil society groups. At a joint branch meeting of his party's St. Michael's South, Southeast and City branches last Sunday, Stuart accused Sir Hilary of disrespect and blasted him for criticizing government's introduction of tuition fees for Barbadians attending the University of the West Indies. Stuart also accused Sir Hilary of using the Cayfield campus as an alternative government to his ruling Democratic Labour Party administration. A visiting Canadian judge is suggesting that Barbados create a juvenile justice system which seeks to balance assistance and accountability of young people. Addressing a conference on the Youth Criminal Justice Act, which operates in Canada, Provincial Court Judge in Ontario, Kobe Barnes, therefore said that even though young people needed to be held accountable for any criminal actions, the system also needed to engage rehabilitation. Speaking to the youth at the Lord Erskine Sandifer Centre yesterday, Justice Barnes also was adamant that the victim's voice must not be silenced during the process.
The interest of the victim is a key component of the principle on which this act is dealt with. It has to be taken into account in so many different ways throughout the diversion process and throughout the court process. And so there could be victim, there can be mediation activities dealing with victims at certain stages of the process if necessary. There are reports that are prepared that allow victims to have their victim impact statements that come into play. There are a whole bunch of areas whereby victims have a central place. So in this, and I'm sorry I didn't mention it, the victim is a central component of the process.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
FAS Entertainment presents the Digicel Vintage Reggae Show and Dance, featuring Marcia Griffith, Gabby Thompson, Fab Five,
I'm the man they call sweet.
Boris Gardner,
I wanna wake up with you.
Leroy Gibbons,
Magic moment.
Shaka Demus and Pliers, Admiral Tibet, plus Biggie Irie and Super Ruben, MC Admiral International, the Digicel Vintage Reggae Show and Dance, Friday, April 24th, Garfield Sobers Gymnasium, showtime 9 p.m.
A test of character, a test of focus, a test of will, a test of resilience, a test of courage. Barbados, the test is on. West Indies, England, May 1st at the Mecca. Tickets $30, $40, $50, and $60. It's on.
Are you Barbados is on?
Secure your future, be financially strong. Since 1983, we have been there for you. A smart range of products, great tax benefits. We're the solution to your hopes and your dreams. The Barbados Workers Union Cooperative Credit Union. The Barbados Workers Union Cooperative Credit Union. Humble beginnings to smart loans, smart savings. Save smart and borrow smarter. That's the move for me. Stability, prosperity. We're the solution to your hopes and your dreams. The Barbados Workers Union Cooperative Credit Union. The Barbados Workers Union Cooperative Credit Union.
Turning now to our regional neighbors, the government of Antigua and Barbuda will be vigorously going after merchants in the country who have not made their ABST sales tax payments. Chief of Staff to the Prime Minister, Lionel Hurst, says as of April the 15th this year, there was about $120 million in outstanding sales tax payments.
When you import goods, you must pay at the port. But when you sell those goods, when you pass, usually wholesalers import the goods, and they pass them on to retailers, and retailers owe. Also services. When you purchase certain services, the legislation passed by the previous administration makes it mandatory that ABST be levied.
And finally, on the international scene, anti-immigrant violence in parts of South Africa has settled down, with increased military and police presence in the hot spots. Johannesburg's city streets were empty yesterday as a convoy of armored personnel carriers rolled through after conducting a raid on a hostel where just days before, armed residents, mostly Zulus, torched cars and looted foreign-owned shops, promising to drive out their immigrant neighbors. And on that note, we come to the end of our Barbados Today morning news update. However, you can join us again this afternoon Until then, remember to log on to www.barbadostoday.bb, subscribe to our e-paper and email updates, or like us on Facebook. You can also catch us on Izumi Media in bus terminals or screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. Also tune in to Channel 101 on Lime TV and Mix 96.9 FM to get all the latest news and sports. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Have a fantastic day.
This news update is brought to you by...
So, I'm meeting Rico later. Gotta check in with the girls, but first, let me check my usage on the MyLime app. Now, what should I wear? Hashtag sexy. He's here.